Welcome back, everybody, to Bout Du Monde. A lot has changed since the previous episode, but most of that is actually just been time, and you'll see some tree foliage there. We are in the full swing of fall, late autumn. We got to get these crops harvested. They have just changed to being ready to harvest today, and yeah, as you can see, it's pretty late in the fall. We got these planted, well, we actually planted them early, but they didn't germinate early, so based on the weather, we got to get cracking. We got 3 days to harvest all of the crops here. I'm not sure how many, here, let's open up this hopper. I'm not sure how many days that this will take to harvest, but, you know, we might do all in one episode, one time lapse, I don't know. We'll figure that out as we go. But for now, let's get harvested. We will continue to use course play, of course, and, yeah. Oh, wait, that's on. Why aren't we starting then? There we go. I guess, I don't know what I did wrong. Well, anyway, let's get started harvesting. Yeah, so we will continue to use course play, but that will just be, I'm not sure. 1 second. Let's put out the auger first. Well, let's leave the auger in. We don't need it yet, and there are trees right next to us, so we don't want to hit a tree. That would end our day early. I had to wait a while because this is so foggy that the soybeans did not dry off very quickly, so that took a long time to get those dry. And yeah, in the meantime, we were able to grease up Bessie and clean her off real good. That is very important for in between harvest and actually basically every day. You need to check to make sure that, like up there where the engine's at, if you ever see videos of a combine fire, it's most likely, not always, but most likely because farmers failed to blow out there around the back of the engine and the muffler. You know, you don't want residue, crop residue, blowing up there and settling, which will happen. So you typically want to blow out that area every single day at the end of the harvest. That's why you'll see a lot of farm pickup trucks. They have compressors in the back of them, you know, fuel tanks. That way the combine doesn't have to leave the field to get that maintenance done. You can just bring a truck right out to it. But of course, not every combine fire happens because of that reason, but that's the majority of them. And of course, you know, you can always get debris back up there in the middle of the day, even after you already blew it off for the day. But more often than not, I would say it's lack of maintenance that you see those fires start. Anyway, we're gonna go in a little bit of an angle here, trying to, yeah, let's just, remember from previous episodes, you typically try not to turn when the head's down. It causes problems. But let's just, there we go. So we're gonna basically do, oops, that's not good. We're trying to do the end rows here just so we can get some turning room. I'm not sure which is the best way to do this field. I think we'll do it that direction for the long rows. I think those are slightly longer. But again, this is one of those smaller fields that's just like, is it really worth it? I mean, I guess if it's all we could have afforded, and I don't know. I wish I would have, instead of buying all these small fields, I you know, saved up and bought a couple bigger ones, or one big one. But, this one, oh yeah, that's right. We bought this one because it's open to that other field, and we could combine them eventually in the future. That's what the plan was, at least. So, yeah, that there were a lot of things on this map that we didn't get to do that we planned to do, but that's just what happens. Okay, so I think we will use, yeah, we'll get Fritz set up after we'll probably wait until we finish this field completely, and then we'll get Fritz set up with course play on the other field there. I don't think we need him on this field. We'll basically be done here pretty quick. All right, and let's go again. We'll just make one more pass over here maybe to get us a little bit more room. Came in a little bit too fast there. And yeah, so it was a little bit foggy this morning. Had to wait a little extra time to let things heat up. I spoke in previous episodes all the problems that it can cause if you harvest a wet crop, so that was the problem. How fast is 8 kilometers? This feels kind of fast. Granted, I don't know how fast 8 kilometers actually is, so maybe it's not really that fast. I know in the past it was like to do the wheat at a full yield, it was you'd have to go pretty slow, but this feels way too fast. But with the more realistic mod, it must be what the combine can handle. So I guess we'll just keep going at this speed. And should I do another end row? I think we should just be able to turn around here. Maybe. No, that's gonna be kind of tight turn. Yeah, let's do one more end row. We'll make sure that we're not backing into a tree. And there we go. Okay. So let's get going. Oh, Lord, it took a little bit too long to lower the head. Alright, and here we go. Let's cut as big a swath as possible. I think that should be good enough to help us turn around on. And come on, Bessie. It really slows down when you have to invest a lot more power into getting up that hill, but I think we'll come out here and straighten out. I don't want to have to take that sharp turn if I don't have to. And I guess we'll just continue on that path then. We'll come in a little bit straighter. It is a small curve, but that's not going to hurt anything. One of the differences in this game that I don't know who did the research for soybeans, and granted, things are always different in different countries. However, in most of the U.S. that I have seen, soybeans are a road crop. They are not drilled like this. So typically you see 15-inch rows, and I guess, I don't know, based on the looks of things, this could be 15-inch rows, but that looks a little tight for 15 inches. So I don't think it's 15-inch rows, but also based on the fact that you can drill soybeans with the normal sowing machine instead of having to use the planter, that kind of tells me that these are drilled. At least that's what Giants thinks that they are, is what I'm trying to say. But then again, I don't know. I think they're just saying, like, well, we know that you can drill them or plant them road, and that's why they say you can plant them with a sowing machine or a planter. But I don't know. I've never seen, well, not never. I did when I was little, but technology's come a long way, and now most people plant their soybeans in rows as either 15-inch rows or 30-inch rows. We actually just switched from 15-inch rows to 30-inch rows. It doesn't lower your seed cost that much, a little bit, but your population's roughly the same, whether you're doing 15-inch rows or 30-inch rows. So you just put more seeds in 15-inch or 30-inch rows. But the biggest difference is it's easier to combine, because with 15-inch rows, it's rowed enough that you have to try to harvest the crop in rows, which means that little skinny stout over there. Yeah, so imagine a row that's 15 inches apart and looking over to the left and trying to determine where that row is at and keep on steering right up that row the entire time. Meanwhile, you're looking right, your head's on a swivel all the time because you are trying to figure out if you have anything clogging, if everything is feeding in properly. I explained that in, what is that, the previous episode or 2 episodes ago? Or maybe that was the very first episode of Harvest. Anyway, you can check out that for more information on why soybeans are so stressful to harvest. But yeah, so 30-inch rows makes harvesting a lot easier. And also on years like when you have a drought year, it is actually they do better often if you happen to have a drought, just because I'm not really sure why. It seems like 15-inch rows might do better helping keep things shaded, and I know moisture retention is very important on a drought year. I guess it's something to do with 30-inch rows, the soybeans are spaced out so that they actually take less water or something like that. I'm not really sure why. I just know on drought years, 30-inch rows often outperform 15-inch rows. So you have that a benefit of that, you know, if you do have a drought year, and they're better to harvest, like I already explained. So anymore, a lot of guys are doing 30-inch rows in soybeans. And also, you can use your corn planter, right? You don't have to have a separate planter just for planting soybeans versus corn. You know, so a lot of guys do that, and then they don't have to have what this game calls a sowing machine, and I call it drill. I don't know why they're called sowing machines. It's kind of a, I don't know. It seems like way too formal. It's a drill. I don't know. Anyway, it's a drill and a planter. That's what we would call them in the Midwest. And we can definitely finish up this whole field without having to empty. And as soon as we open up the other field over there, I think we will set up course play. However, I've been trying to think about how to do it, because the problems we had before, right? Well, one problem was there was a fence. So he was too close to the fence when I sent him back home. I don't think we'll have that problem. However, I'm trying to remember, I planted that field. Which direction is that? I planted that field north to south. So really, if we're playing realistically, we should harvest that field north to south. And that's going to mean, I'm not sure how Fritz is going to handle that, because he'll be kind of next to the trees over on the right side of that field if we keep him over there. Maybe we should do diagonal harvest. That's actually something that a lot of guys do, actually harvest diagonally, because in real life it just makes, you know, so you plant 15-inch or 30-inch rows, or I'm not sure if it's drilled, if it matters, but if you imagine those rows, instead of having to try to keep that row perfect, if you do it diagonally, then yeah, you're going to smush over some beans anyway, but in generally it's less beans that you'll lose than if you try to keep that perfectly in between 15-inch rows. Unless you have GPS, then of course you can be perfect. If you plant with GPS and have a combine on GPS, then it's pretty hard to mess that up. But we might as well dump while we are here. I think that is what we'll do. And then we'll open up that field and set up course play. I think, what are we going to do? I think that for course play's sake, since I am trying to get things right, I think we'll harvest that east to west. I know that's not how I planted it, and I did plant it with actually a corn planter, and that planter looked like it had something close to 30-inch rows, so granted the field texture isn't realistic, so why am I trying to harvest it realistically if the field texture isn't realistic? Anyway, I do try to play as realistic as possible, but I think since I'm trying to prepare for the West Coast and get course play figured out, I will harvest this east to west. So the long rows will be that way, which means I'm going to open up the field first this way. We'll cut along here and get the end rows opened up, and then it'll be a lot easier to turn around on, give us some maneuvering room, and then we will set up Fritz. I think that I'm going to have Fritz just run to the ETA and back, and in the next few days, as we are finishing up this map and moving to the West Coast, I will just pay attention. If there's a great demand for soybeans or corn, then we'll send Fritz to sell. But until then, I think that we'll just store things over there. Wow, this yield is pretty horrible. Yeah, some of these fields I was not able to fertilize. I wasn't able to get the fertilize growth stages in that I needed to be able to oh, this is just atrocious. To be able to get 3 growth stages. So, I don't know. Alright, I guess we'll just... Oh, what happened here? That must have been, we'll say that's a water spot where the, we'll say that's where the, you know, a little wet spot in the field, so it flooded there. And, yeah, that seems reasonable, right? Should we get an outside view of this? This looks pretty good view. It's kind of fun with the fog, fall colors. We got a little lake down there. This looks pretty. I think I might go into time-lapse mode after I get course play set up and just see how much I can harvest. I think that'll be great. I think that looks pretty cool. There we go. Screenshot of the day. Okay, back to inside the cab. And the other thing I couldn't figure out is if I should do time lapses from inside the cab or not. I think it kind of is fun from inside the cab, so maybe I'll do a half and half, something like that. I don't know. All right, let's not back up into a tree, and we'll kind of do the diagonal thing that we did before. Just to make it a little bit easier to turn, we'll just cut straight out there and give ourselves a little bit more space to turn around on. That is a fairly common practice. All right, so now let's go forward. And we'll go up this way. And we'll probably, when we get up there, maybe we'll look at setting up GPS along the edge of the field, and then we'll do another pass around cutting the end rows. I think that's probably a good, yeah, that's probably what we'll do. All right, we are clocking along here at a pretty good pace. This yield is not very good at all. That's why that's why we're able to harvest at such a good rate. I mean, really, we don't even really need Fritz on this, but I would like to try to make sure that we have course play all set up for the West Coast and how we're going to harvest properly. So I can't remember if I filmed. Okay, so 1 second. While we're here, let's set up this, and we'll hit automatic and new. And we don't need the lines. Oh, well, we do for now because that looks crooked. Right? That looks, yeah, we don't want to go into Fritz. That's kind of crooked. So, you know what? I don't need the vehicle switching because I am not, oh my goodness, I can't even see the lines. I don't need the vehicle switching because I am not, can I finish the thought? I'm not using the vehicle switcher because I took off all of those controls. So really don't need that, and it's just making things a lot more difficult for. Okay, so I think that is pretty good. That's pretty straight. So now we can take off the lines, and let's just go a little bit more along this path just to give us some room to turn around and kind of come back the other way. But there we go. Okay, so now I think we're gonna have to get rid of that. That is path 0. Okay, so can we make this turn or not? I think we can do that. Yeah, we should be able to cut in there. All right. And so should we do 2 or 3? I think we need 3 end rows. With this combine, with the head size, I think 3 end rows, 3 passes along the end rows are what we need to be able to turn around comfortably and turn around fast and efficiently without having to back up, stop and back up. That takes a little bit extra time to do that 3-point turn. But speaking of extra time, I think that I will just... Should I back up there or should I turn around? We'll just back up. I think that'll be faster. Sometimes backing up is the most efficient way. Well, maybe not. It's easier, but I think that... Okay, so I should be able to cut it now. I think that was the edge of the field. Maybe I cut it a little bit too soon. No, I think I did good. Yeah. All right. No crops destroyed, it looks like, so I think we're good. All right, we'll go down there, and man, this is really slow filling up. We just did not do a good job fertilizing. Oh well, can only do what you can do, right? Definitely don't need course play. All right, well, I think that is pretty well open. No, you know what? Let's cut one more along the edge. Okay, you'll stay with me just a little bit more while I open up the field here, and then we will head to a time lapse. So, take it back. I can start the time lapse now. I don't need to wait till the field is all the way open. You'll just watch me do a few end rows on time lapse. Okay, so I will catch you guys on the other side of the time lapse. Like I said, I will do probably half of it from inside the cab, half of it from outside. Until then, unless anything else interesting happens, which has happened occasionally, you will, I'll catch you on the other side. I hope you enjoy the time lapse. All right, I think that ends the time lapse. The corn, is the corn ready to shuck or is it not? It looks like the corn is ready, and that is all of the remaining fields. We have nothing left but corn. Okay, so let's get this back home, and we can, let's see, 1 second, put that, okay, so we need to get the corn head out. We need to get the bean head back home. I think that might be in another episode. Maybe we'll have one final episode, hurrah, on this map where we take care of the rest of the corn, and then I think I might actually still have just a little bit of wool left to sell. So, whoa. You might be a little bit too far on the back end of the trailer there. Let's fix that real quick. Yeah, so we might have a little bit of wool left to sell, maybe some milk left to sell. Every time it always defaults in the lowered position. I don't know why. That really makes me mad. It's obviously not how it is in real life. Look, I mean, you disconnect it, or when you connect it, you have to raise the feeder box to get there, right? Otherwise, you won't be able to connect it. So as soon as you hook up, why does it lower? I don't know. It doesn't make sense. But let's just go back. We'll get the corn head ready, and I don't know. Maybe we'll start harvesting and just see how far we can get today. And I'm probably make it another time lapse if I include it in this footage, because this episode is getting a little bit long, I think, even with that time lapse. All right, so we've got Bessie there all ready for the corn harvest tomorrow. We're taking this home. I know I said I would leave it all at the ETA, but instead we're taking it home and we'll just park it for the night. We'll sell it first thing in the morning and head back out to the field before we start the corn harvest. I think that we should be able to finish the corn harvest tomorrow, which will be in the next episode on Friday, and that will be the season, or the series wrap-up for this map. Unfortunately, we only played one season on it. I would have loved to spend more time on this map, but with the West Coast coming out soon, I really want to be ready for that map, so I don't feel like we should start anything else on this map, because I kind of feel like, well, what's the point? You know, plowing fields, cultivating fields for what? You know, since we're just going to be selling off all the fields on this map and moving to Great Britain. So I feel like that would kind of be wasted time. You know, if there is some time elapsed there, we can figure out some things like chopping down some trees maybe, or something like that. But I'm hoping I just randomly time this right. I'm not saying any secrets. I know just as much about the West Coast release as you guys, so don't read into anything there. But whoa, that's a little bit magical. Yeah, don't read into anything there. I just don't want to be caught in a position where the West Coast is released and I still have a lot to do on this map. So until, let's not turn into the wall. Until next time, guys, thanks for tuning in, and please be sure to leave comments and feedback and subscribe if you haven't. And that should be it. Thanks, guys. Bye-bye.